Well, this was a little afternoon out a couple of weeks ago. Went down to the Cheshire Ploughing match, where you'll see all sorts of machines working. A lot of classic, well, actually vintage era tractors. Lots of Fortons. You got this P6 conversion there. This is the aim of the game. They're trying to get this ploughing, but this guy's just like 2 runs off finishing. He is a little bit earlier on, so he's just about to stop to make an adjustment, and that's like, well, you wouldn't want to go and see this as an action-packed spectator sport, because there's more stoppages than in a game of American football. It just stopped, just adjusted his link arms up there a little bit, and then he's going to adjust his top link. So this is all about getting the most consistent result you possibly can. These guys are always ploughing across where you would typically do it. If you were going in there to plough that field in a commercial manner, that is to get it turned over, you wouldn't plough across, you would plough lengthways, because that's where the longest runs are and the most efficiency is. But I think as part of the challenge, they always plough across the field. So this is a Fulton standard with a trailer plough. You got to bear in mind a lot of this kit is 80 years old, if not older in some cases. Some of these trailer ploughs will have been sort of evolutions of horse ploughs. This guy with his tools there ready. Like I said, they're always making adjustments, so they're always stopping, adjusting things, moving things. And there's his little stack of weights there. These machines, these ploughs were never designed to have weights put on them, but they were working in different times with different levels of soil compaction, I guess. So the weights are there just to keep them down, keep the plough from moving around too much in the ground. You can see here's the gentleman with the standard, another trail plough, and then to the right there's a Nuffield. If you just look closely, he's got a J. Charnley and Sons sign on the front there. He's obviously been involved with some charity event there, where Charnleys, who were synonymous with Nuffields and Leylands and Marshalls back in the day, now sell McCormick tractors. Actually, they're not too far from me, probably an hour away. But yeah, you can see, and then the Nuffield's just about to stop. Just wait a second, and you see his plough stopped. So he's obviously decided he needs to make an adjustment there. You can see lots of these guys have a spare disc mounted on the plough somewhere. So that's what they're aiming for, nice and straight and consistent, and basically it's about making sure that you get your furrows as even as possible all the way across your plot. And this is what they get left to finish with. So they work, because they're conventional ploughs, i.e. not a reversible, they plough out from either side in. Usually they have to have a finishing where the two elements that they've ploughed obviously get to a point where you've got nothing left, and that's where you have to finish off, and that's something that they get judged on. Here's that P6 diesel with a trailer plough on. This guy called Ian, who's I've got some footage of him where they did a 24-hour ploughing event a couple of years ago with that tractor, and that plough was used, but that's for another time. So he stopped there, he's getting to the end of his run, so he's just stopped just to make sure that he can get his plough set 100%, and as he comes to the end he'll want to lift that out, and this is something they're judged on as well, so making sure the ins and outs at each end are consistent. It's not just about how straight it is. It's fairly standard fare here, little David Brown Selectomatic 880. He's got a mounted plough, but you can see that he's getting some wheel slip there, and that's part of the challenge. So it wasn't really wet, and there's ploughing matches that certainly happen in wetter conditions, but that's part of the challenge, is making sure that you keep going in the conditions. These Fords and Standards, yeah, you do see quite a few of them at ploughing matches, certainly in the vintage categories with the trailer ploughs. They're quite a heavy tractor in the day compared to some of the slightly more modern machines. You can see there, you can see the disc cuts the soil, and then the skimmer's just taking the trash off, and then the main plough body's then doing the work of turning the furrow over. So just had a bit of a check over. Walks in the furrow because he doesn't want to walk his ploughing down too much. He's just having a look to make sure it's consistent. He's going to walk down his ploughing. I don't know who this chap is. He pretty much finished anyway. He's like, yep, what are you looking at, fella? So then he just walks back down his own furrow there, because he doesn't want to walk across the ploughing, because that might affect the result. The judges are keeping a close eye on any inconsistencies in the ploughing. So there he takes a step into his last furrow, into his wheel mark, and then just tries to leave as few footprints as possible. So he's got wheel weights on his little Massey Ferguson there. That just means that he can keep going in more challenging conditions when the land is a bit heavier, because the UK has got lots of heavy land where there's high clay content. A couple of 56-pound weights there strapped to the plough, so one right at the back and then one underneath the toolbox. That was the standard measure for potatoes in the UK before we went metric and started using 25 kilos. But yeah, 56 pounds were, I certainly remember them as a kid when going around farms and seeing them in places. Lots of times they were just used for holding doors open, because not many farms when I was a kid had packed up growing potatoes in small quantities. So anyway, there he goes off again. You can just see that it's only the rear furrow that's actually doing any work there, and it's just decided to not try and get that furrow done in one go. So he's going to probably go back around all the way around the work and then plough the same way, I would imagine. This is one of the reversibles, and this is in the class where there's much less adjustment on this plough than there is. You'll see some of the other reversibles in a second, but this, I think this guy's got a hydraulic top link, and that's about it. He's still doing a really tidy job, but as he finishes off there, he's just ploughing straight in one straight block, whereas in a second you'll see some of the European style competition ploughing where they have to work towards a point. This demonstrates it perfectly. You can see there's lifts out, but then he's got that mark to the left hand side that he's trying to work to, and this is one of the well set up reversible ploughing setups. You can see this chap here has got this spool block on the back, so he does use the in-cab controls to lower the plough. So he's got his link arms on his in-cab, but then you can see the 7 levers on the outside there, and he can adjust pretty much every element of that plough, from turnover angle to front furrow width to with the top link as well, what angle the plough is on. And it's all about getting the the ins and outs absolutely perfect. You can see there that he's just pushing the plough across to one side with his hydraulic system to make sure that as it drops into the ground, that the width of the ploughing that he's taking is exactly the same as it was when the plough came out of the ground on the last run. For these guys, it's just about practice, 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 muscle memory. So knowing exactly what each one of those levers does, how much you need to adjust it, and how much the soil conditions are going to affect what you do. You can see he's on it's a W registered New Holland TS115, so I think it's from the year 2000, which I would have driven I think it was pretty sure it was a W registered New Holland TS115 I drove back in the day for a contractor when they were brand new tractors. But these would be quite popular because of the size of the tractor. You can see that they've got the wheels set right in, and they use really narrow tyres as well compared to modern machinery, because it's all about making sure that that tyre fits into the furrow wall perfectly and that you're not running on your last ploughing run. And you can see he's got some chains on the back of his depth wheel there. That's just to make sure that he knows that his width is consistent and that he's running bang on. So these guys have to plough to an angle, and there's a little bit of footage coming up that shows how they do that. They kind of have to run at like a 30-degree angle across the field, and then they have to finish that off. And you can see it here. You can see where he's ploughing now. This Massey Ferguson is actually on an angle to where he started, and that's part of the competition. They've judged on how clean and tidy that is. This element of the competition is different. This is hedge cutting, mechanical hedge cutting, so these guys will do this probably most days in the winter. They will be on a mechanical hedge cutter trimming farm hedges, and you can see they've got a marked out plot there, and it's all about following what the judge has asked you to do. So what shape he's asked you to cut, which stage of growth he's asked you to cut back to, and then getting as consistent a result as you possibly can. That trimming outfit there is Mike Fuller, I believe, John Deere 6155R, and McConnell VFR hedge trimmer. So I think Mike got second or third, I'm not sure, but this is the judge. So he's walking along to see what they've asked, if they've done what he's asked them to do, basically. How level the hedge is, how consistent it is, and if the shape he's asked for has been delivered. Now, I asked him about all the drops, because the hedges on this farm were up and down and up and down. There was like 30 centimetres gaps and jumps in them, and he says that it doesn't matter, they just have to cut the piece between their two pegs. That's what they're getting judged on. This is hedge laying, so I don't know if this is done in other parts of the world. It's maybe a UK specific thing, but a lot of this will have been done with hawthorn hedges. Hawthorn would have been planted to make the hedge, and then as it's grown up and the hedges got loose in the bottom with lots of gaps, people would have come along and laid the hedge, so cut it right back, trimmed the trunks, if you like, the stows we'd call it, but and formed them into a dense hedge. So when this hedge grows back in the next 2 to 3 years, it will be really dense and stock proof, so no animals are going to go through that, no cattle or sheep. And that's the last bit of the hedge competition. So along with all this is like a show as well, so there's lots of dealers that turn up. I didn't really get a lot of that footage because a show's a show at the end of the day. They're always trying to sell you a new piece of equipment, but I think the art and craft behind how much effort people put into to get their machinery to these things, and get the practice in each season to try and deliver the best result they can. It's quite impressive because, you know, we're not talking about Premiership football wages here. It's just people turning up for the community and turning up for the sport, really. So hats off to them. Good stuff. Hope you've enjoyed this. So please comment, rate and subscribe. See what you think. Give me any feedback you want. Anything you want to see, let me know.